We're going to tackle putting on an aftermarket tail tidy. Um, Obviously this thing is grotesquely huge, and it doesn't suit the bike at all. I can only imagine perhaps if it had luggage on it would be better, but in the interim I think cleaning this thing up would be quite beneficial. So just to go over what we're going to do, we're going to take off the entire assembly. We're not going to reuse the existing lights. I'll show you why in a minute. And we're just going to put the new system on. It's a fairly simple procedure. It will require removing most of the components and plastics on the rear end, and I'll show you how to do that. And what we'll be doing is installing this fender eliminator kit, which I got off of eBay from Crease1, C-R-E-E-S-E-1, I believe his name is. I'll confirm that with you later. And I bought the aftermarket LED turn signals as well, which are a lot smaller, and you'll see roughly here they're quite a bit smaller than the stock ones. One of the reasons being, once you get this on, if you do put the stock ones on, they'll hang out quite a bit over the ends. So I wanted to get an aftermarket version, and I wanted something similar in design of the factory originals. I do like the shape. But we will put these other ones on. Now, I will likely have to get the LED resistors for these, because looking at them closer now, they do look like they are regular incandescent filament type. So when I go to use the turn signals, they will blink faster. So we'll see when we get to that. We'll just temporarily try them out and see if the flash rate increases or not. So anyway, let's get this thing started. First thing we have to do is take the seat off. It's a pretty simple affair. Move that forward. And we're going to need a 6mm wrench. Take these handles off. Also need a 6mm wrench to take the seat off. I do have aftermarket Sargent seat on here. Highly recommend the Sargent. You'll see in another video I posted comparing factory to the Sargent to a reworked factory seat. And the Sargent's pretty comfortable. Basically at the end of the day, I can usually get a few hours riding in before it starts to get uncomfortable. A little extra padding would have been nice, a little softer would have been nice, but just 2 bolts on the back and the whole thing just pulls out. You also have to take these handles off. They come off pretty simple. Now there's going to be rubber washers, and I usually like to keep these in order so that when I go to put them back on, I don't have to look for the bolts. A pair on the other side. That came off fairly simple. Let's take this toolkit out. This is going to get in our way. Toolkit's out. There's 4 Allen screws that hold this piece on here. That's a number 4. I'll show you that. You can see one here, one there, one there, one there. The washers that go on there, the plastic washers. That's one. These little plastic washers like to run away. Okay, so we remove those 4 and you'll start to see he's getting a little looser. So what you want to do is just push it back, open it up, push it back, and the whole thing lifts up. Let's put it aside, and that's where we are right now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the main portion of this fender, and I just want to show you a couple things in here. One, got to be careful of this guy. It just sits in here, and it's actually a locating tab for the back piece. When it slides on, it just kind of goes in there and supports itself. So you want to make sure you don't lose that. And there's a wiring harness tucked in here as well. And 2 screws will actually release the taillight assembly. And I've already been in here once before and installed a brake light flashing kit, and I'll show you that one in a little bit, or in another video actually. We'll see. So now I want to take off the 4 screws. There's 4 big bolts that hold this assembly on, so we'll go and take that off. There's number 5. And we're going to take off, there's 2 8mm bolts in here. Just going to undo those. There's one, and don't forget the washer that's underneath it. Fairly large metal washer. And the other one over here. There's the other one. And take this and just pull it forward and out. That's your tail light assembly, LED tail light assembly. And as you can see, I put this strobe controller for LED stoplight in there. Basically, I took the existing stoplight wires and I hacked into it and soldered in where the stoplight wires go, and the other one is just the running light. So I'll show you what it does. So there you have normal running lights, and then when you hit the brakes, you get that multi-pattern. It really does get the attention of other drivers, so that's why I like using it. So, pretty simple device. I think I picked this up on eBay for probably about $10 from China. So you got the black and red in and the black and red out, and it's just a simple splice into the taillight assembly, and just wrapped it up with some heat shrink tubing underneath there after I soldered the wires together, and then just wrapped it in electrical tape. So we're just going to take this off for now so I can get in there a little better. Little locking tab on the top, just push down and give it a pull. Of course she's going to be stubborn and going to fall all over the place. Come on. There we go. So we'll just move this out of the way. Make sure we keep its two screws that go with it, and that little piece there. We're going to take off these two bolts here. Look like they're the same size as the upper ones, the four that hold the tail assembly on. There we go. A little tug. That just came off. And that came off. So now the whole assembly will drop down. Okay, now once we let it down, this was actually holding it up. So where are we here? I was just holding it up with that strap there. So I just twisted it out. The whole unit fell down. And you can see we have the electronic management hardware in there. We also have, this is for the stoplight. I assume this is going to be for the license plate light. We'll double check that. And then you have another black and another gray connector side by side, just kind of woven underneath this piece here. We can just lift that up and pop that around. So we have those two as well. I am assuming that's left turn, right turn, one or the other. We'll confirm in a second. So now we want to double check which one's which. So what we're going to do is just going to power on the bike, and we're going to disconnect or turn a signal on and disconnect each one to find out which one it is, and we'll just mark it as such. Okay, now we're going to turn right turn signal, and we'll take off the gray just by pushing this. Where's it lifting? I think it's pushing. Yeah, push and pull. Aha! So gray is the right turn signal. Flip it over there. Black. Oh, these are stubborn. There we go. So black is left turn signal. And we got our license plate light. So I guess we're gonna have to push this tab and pull out, and yeah, so now our license plate light is out. Next thing we're gonna do is, this actually has 2 screws holding the remainder of this in. So just to show you the path that these take, the license plate light actually kind of wiggles through here, and then the 2 turn signals wiggle through there. There's a bit of corrosion on that nut over there. So we're going to take off these 2 Phillips head screws. That's probably why it wasn't coming out earlier. And just pull back, just a wiggle back, and then these all come out through the holes. So you can see what it looks like there. And just so you know, the reason why this whole panel wasn't coming out, just on the underside here, where the bolt goes through, there's actually a pair of indexing pins that go into these little rubbered slot holes in here. So there's, the rubber slotted holes is where the bolts go, and these indexing pins go in these indexing holes on the bottom here. So when we put this back together, you'll have to make sure that the indexing holes meet up with these pins, and to bolt that assembly on. Okay, what I've done, I want to check and see the flash rate of these new LED turn signals. What I've done is I've grabbed the the left side flasher, and put it to the positive, the red side of the LED turn signals, and then the gray wire I just grounded to chassis, and that's the flash rate. So it's faster, absolutely a little bit faster, but I can live with that all day long. So as far as polarity is concerned, LEDs are generally polar sensitive. So these LEDs, I haven't tightened them down yet. Generally, black is ground and red, this is for the license plate light, red will be for the power. On this one, on these LED lights, you'll notice that there's a common wire between the 2 of them, and that's the gray one. So that'll be your ground. And then you have the red and the blue, which will be your positive for activating each one of these. Now, on the wiring harness, we have a yellow black, that's your ground, and the red with a silver stripe, and that's your power. This is for the tail light. And then for the turn signals, remember black was for left, gray was for right. It doesn't matter if you mix them up, you can change them after the fact. Once again, you have a black and yellow, that'll be your ground. And you have a gray with a dot. I'm not sure if that's a red or brown. Sucks being colorblind. And you got a yellow black there, that's your ground. And that looks like a green with a silver stripe. Anyway, you get the idea. The black and yellow is your ground. The opposite color that doesn't match is going to be your positive power supply. So when we go to wire this in, we'll wire the gray wire to the black and yellow, and the off-colored wire to the off-colored wire on the turn signal units. We're going to solder some wires together, and I'll show you how to do that. First, we want to take our 2 turn signal wires, and we want to just basically cut them off. I think we have a lot of room that we're going to be able to work with these. We'll just cut one there, cut one there, and this is our tail light. I'm going to cut that off too. So now we got the black one here, and if we remember, the black one was for the left turn signal, and so we'll just follow the line through here, and this is our left turn signal with the blue. And what I want to do, these are bullet connectors. They're fairly good, but I want to make this a permanent installation, so what I'm going to end up doing is soldering and heat shrinking these connectors to it. So they've already been somewhat sealed here. So I want to take these connectors off. Highly recommend getting a good set of these snips. Just adjust that there. They make doing this job a whole lot easier. So the bullet connectors are off, and then we want to sit and strip the ends. Just make sure you have enough that I'd say about 1/2 inch, 1.5 centimeters, and twist them up like that. So those are ready to go. Now we want to get our black, no, that's for this, our black turn signal lead, and it's got this cover over it, so we want to get that cover off so we have some wire to work with. So I'm just going to use a knife and just score the plastic, but not too deep that it will, oh, this knife is dull, not too deep that it'll cut the wiring underneath it. So it is starting to come off. There we go. Okay, so now we got a fair bit. Just double check and make sure that you didn't score into this. Not that it's really going to make much difference, but you could always heat shrink if you really gouge it up or damage the wires. You can always heat shrink the piece there or move it back. So now we want to take off about the same amount of insulation off of this guy. And just lightly twist. Now we want to get some heat shrink tubing. So we have this heat shrink tubing. You can buy it pretty much anywhere. Harbor Freight, Canadian Tire, hardware stores, electrical stores. Comes in different sizes. Usually about something like this is usually like $10 on sale. And so first I want to do is get a fairly large piece. It should fit over both of these. Just double check because this is going to be our final sealing. So I want to basically get a pretty long piece. I'm going to just push it over and over there. Just get it out of the way because you don't want any heat affecting it yet. Now we're also going to want to protect these wires, so we want to get, use the red ones, and we're going to get a couple inches worth of heat shrink for each leg. And we're just going to put that on carefully. And that's a little bit too long. Because when you solder it, it's going to start shrinking if it's in the way. So there's about an inch on each one. You see it's kind of out of the way. And that's all good. So now we want to hook up the gray wire with the black and yellow. And basically you want to cross it and just kind of roll it onto itself. You can move this other one out of the way, and we'll do one at a time just so you can see how it's done. Just move that out of the way. So now it's fairly flat, it's wound upon itself. And what you want to do is you want to get one of these piezoelectric torches and some rosin core solder. This is electrical solder. It's got rosin core in it. It's not acid core, it's rosin core. And it cleans the surface and also allows the solder to flow a lot easier. So what I generally do is it's a very fast process. Just sit there, heat that up, and just drip the solder on. And now that's soldered. Let it cool down for a second, and you'll see that's a solid connection. So now we want to do the other one. And we're just going to wrap it around itself again. This time the gray wire goes on the blue wire. Gray from the factory harness. I think that's a gray wire. Colorblind. And the blue wire there. So just going to prop that there. We got a nice shot at it. Once again, we'll hit it with the torch. Let it heat up for a second, and then just dab some solder onto it. This solder melts at about 350 degrees, somewhere around there. So this is putting out 1500, 2000 degrees. So it doesn't take a lot of heat to get it to melt. So now those connections are strong. They'll never come apart. They'll never break. They're waterproof, corrosion resistant, and they'll do a really good job. Now we've got to make sure that they don't touch each other inside the bike, so that's why we put this heat shrink on there. So we'll kind of run it over. You kind of know where. You kind of want to get it in the middle there, and on this one, you kind of want to get it in the middle on this one. So they're both in the middle now. And we'll once again use this and just quickly go over the heat shrink tubing, and it will shrink. You don't want to melt it, you just want to shrink it, and that's done a pretty good job. Okay. Lastly, since these are all flopping around, that's why we did this white piece here. We'll now slide this over and seal the whole piece. Let's see if we can get that molded into there. I don't think we're going to have much luck with that, but that's a pretty good fit right there. That's going to hold it all tight in one piece, so then we'll just sit there and shrink it with the heat shrink gun. These are the lighter. You can see it closing that form pretty good. You just want to work your way around, and you'll see how it conforms to the wiring and everything, holding everything tight. So that's it. So that one's finished. And so we got this one to do, and we got the license plate light to do. Okay, well, we soldered everything up. As you can see, everything's heat shrunk, and I've just reconnected it. I just want to double check before I start putting everything back together in case I have to rewire again if I made a mistake. We'll just turn it on, and sure enough, our LEDs are working for the tail, or for the license plate light. Now we'll do a left turn signal. That's working, and a right turn signal, and that's working. And we'll just double check the front ones to make sure as well. And that's good. Okay, let's turn it back off, and now we can work on getting this back together. So we want to disconnect the wires because we have to feed them through the holes. Okay, I've just installed those two screws in the meantime, just to get this bottom panel back up. And there's you can see there's a fair bit of wiggle room there that we can start fishing some wires through and get the tailpiece on, or get this plate on. Lastly, there's underneath here is, just underneath here you can see there's a little channel there, and that's where the turn signals end up. So when you're fishing the wires through, you can make your connections likely under here. We'll see when when we get to that point. So now I'm going to try and put this plate on and route the wires and make the connections. Okay, now I did find, I couldn't find the screw kit that came with this assembly. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm kind of thinking it maybe didn't come with it, because I'm usually pretty good at keeping all the hardware together. So luckily I have a collection of metric bolts and washers and nuts and everything. So the ones that we're going to need are the M6 by 1.0 and the M6 or the 6mm washers to attach this piece. Okay, so just rest these here. Now we're going to feed these up through the same locations that they came out. So both turn signals were in the back left hole. Feed those up and through. You can see we got lots of wire here to work with. And kind of push that around kind of the way that it came before, through that little slot, and then we'll pull this through the other hole, the one on the right side back. Okay. And we'll work that around. A little fidgety to make sure that everything works. This is going to press firm against this metal piece here. So I want to make sure that it doesn't pinch. Okay, I think we got it. As we push up, I think we're okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip them upside down so that the big part of the bolt is on the bottom. Seems to like that better. A nut and a washer at the top. Much better. And just to show you what I did, you can see I used a nut and a washer up here. And I don't know if you can see that. Here's the big bolt right there to hold that. So that's a nice cleaner install. You also see that I ran these wires at the very back end of this. There's a space there. I don't know if you can see that clearly enough. There's a space right in the back where they can both slide in fairly easily. And then this just kind of went up the side in its original location where it went before. So they seem to have lots of room at the top here. And they do kind of cross, but I'm going to put a zip tie under here when I'm all finished. So now we'll continue to do the same thing with the other bolts. Get them, insert them all from the bottom and lock them from the top here, and we'll tighten the rest of these fittings up. Okay, we managed to get everything sorted out. Basically, let's see here, we got all 4 bolts in. I had to use some alternative bolts. As you can see, these ones are sitting almost flush. The problem is these ones here, which actually threaded right into the original tailpiece, didn't necessarily have to deal with a washer and a nut. One thing to note, when I did pull this through, I made sure that the cables ran underneath the channel under here, and they pop up right here, right next to the turn signal harness there. So now back into here, we're going to connect our wires. We have the both the black and the gray one. And we'll just snap those back in place. So now you got that little, there's a little tab at the top here. Sorry, little cone at the top. And that little cone has to fit into that piece there. And you'll just hear it snap. The same thing for the red one. Or sorry, the gray one. And that snaps into place. And you just tuck it away. So it'll just be out of the way. Now we'll move over here, and we'll do the rest of the tail light here. So this is the license plate light. You'll see has that little hole there, and that's where this cone piece goes. So it should just fit in with a snap. And just tuck it out of the way. This is for the tool pouch. You just want to feed that through to grab onto the tool pouch. Just use all the space you have available here to hide the wiring. Now we'll grab the tail lamp assembly. Kind of getting a little tighter here. I've got that strobe controller. Got to fit it in there. The first thing we'll do is we'll click it into place here. I'm not sure why this piece has a locking tab. It's supposed to lock into something somewhere, and I don't quite know where that is. At any rate, we'll get that in there, and it just quickly snapped in place. And we'll just lightly place everything in there. I don't want to force anything. Get those bolts down in place with the washers. Well, she's all installed. Everything's finished off there. We can take the protective plastic off there. Last thing I want to do is the guy who made this did a really awesome job. That Crease One gentleman on eBay that I bought this from. Really nice product. It's almost like a water jet cut or stamped piece of aluminum with a nice feels like a powder coat finish, sandblasted powder coat finish. But what I really like about it is it gives you the option, if you want to use an OEM style turn signal, it has the cutout for an OEM style, I can see it better there, OEM style mounting slot cut into it, so you don't have to worry about that. And there's also a hole for mounting just a standard aftermarket unit as well. So now just want to level out these level out these lights to point directly backwards, and I think that's pretty good. I think that'll work. And then where did I put it? There it is. 17mm wrench on the underside, just to tighten them up so that they don't move anymore. The last thing I'll be doing is put a license plate on it, and there we go. Nice, won't move anywhere. And then just run a black zip tie to these 3 wires here, just to stop them from shaking around. And all in all, it's looking pretty good. Fit and finish is good. It's nice and sturdy. Everything's locked in place. I'll give you a shot there of what it looks like. So the LED is working. That signal's working. That signal's working. And just the brake light again. Everything's good. So we'll button her up. And if you have any questions or comments, give me a holler. I'm usually pretty good at answering them pretty quick. And just put the rest of the body panels, make sure that you tighten everything down. Not too tight, you don't want to crack any of the plastics or anything. But keep an eye out. I got a couple more videos that we're going to do. One is I have an HID headlight upgrade, which I'm going to be doing on the front of it. Just low beam only. We're going to give it a try. And also this power port, we're going to do a replacement. I actually put that power port in, and I don't like the fact it's a USB adapter there, and I was running it last year, and I'm not sure if the adapter gave out. Maybe the adapter overheated or my GPS overheated, but I'm going to swap it out for just a general regular 12-volt socket. And also I'll be doing another one to cover this little guy here. That's my garage door opener button, and I'll show you how I put that together as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.